Grand Canyon National Park is a natural wonder encompassing more than 1.2 million acres along 278 miles of the Colorado River. And every bit of it is open to visitors. Well, actually not. There are a number of areas that are closed to visitors. Redacted documents like this one about the area surrounding the 1956 airline crash that left 128 people dead tend to encourage conspiracy theories. And vivid imaginations and perhaps wishful thinking, combined with the unique and inspiring geography of the canyon, lead to stories about buried treasures, alien visitors, and lost civilizations. To the best of my knowledge, other than the ancient occupants, none of these wild stories are true. But of course, what do I know? I've never been to the forbidden sites. But perhaps following the guidance of Occam's razor, the simplest explanations provided by the Park Service are probably correct. Anyway, my goal is not to judge why the areas are closed, but just to identify some of the major ones. Probably the closed area that will be encountered by the largest number of visitors is right on the rim of the Grand Canyon within 2 miles of the historic village. It's the former site of the Orphan mine. Originally located on a piece of private land, it was one of the nation's richest and most productive uranium mines from 1953 until 1969. And believe it or not, on the same property next to the mine was a lodge that offered an outdoor swimming pool and outdoor dancing while the mine was operating. The mine made a deal where the park allowed it to extend its mining operations into public lands, but the mine had to close within 25 years and the land would pass to the park. You can best view the Orphan mine from here, Powell Point, where there's also an interpretive sign. The park disassembled the mining operation, although in my time, the rim trail used to pass right by the mining site. It's been closed to visitors because of possible radioactivity from the mining operation. Whether the area is radioactive is an open question. The EPA has decided it is not a Superfund site. The Park Service conducted a soil analysis in 2016, and their latest posting was in 2020, when they said they would evaluate and inform the public of the results. It kind of looks like they want to leave things the way they are, whether or not it's due to radiation contamination. Similarly, Hance Mine and Bass Mine in Hakatai Canyon, both former asbestos mines, are closed to public visitation due to asbestos contamination, and all other mines in the park are closed due to safety concerns. The Cave of the Domes at the end of the Grandview Trail was formerly open to the public, but has been closed since 2020, quote, to protect roosting bats and other sensitive cave resources, close quote. The park has extended that closure to all caves, which are defined as holes that are more than 50 feet long, with the entrance not wider than the cave is long. So Redwall Cavern is not included in this definition and remains open. Now, if you want to find buried treasure, alien visitors, and ancient civilizations, caves are an attractive place to look. But the Park Service has decided that all caves and mines should be closed. The next closed site is the wreckage of the 1956 crash of 2 airlines over the canyon, visible from the Desert View Watchtower viewpoint, where a small monument notes the disaster. Several cleanup operations have removed much of the debris from the crash, but to deter curiosity seekers and in respect of the 128 people who died in the crash, the site is closed to visitors. Now, the site was designated a National Historic Landmark, and the redacted descriptions of the location of the site to keep visitors from finding it probably only encourages conspiracy theories about what may be located there. There have been at least 2 salvage operations that removed much of the wreckage of the airplanes, although reportedly some remains. However, if the closure is to respect the remains of those who have died, none of whose bodies were recovered intact, you can rather morbidly visit the Grand Canyon graveyard, where you can stand over the body parts of 29 unidentified crash victims buried collectively in 4 coffins. There is no restriction on access to the graveyard. The unidentified body parts of some of the crash victims are buried in common coffins right here at the cemetery. Wreckage and pieces of people who were killed are still in the crash site. I have no objection to it being closed. The final category of closures are from the ancient peoples category. A pretty cool one is Anasazi Bridge, located within the Redwall Formation above the Colorado River at mile 43. Lee's Ferry is mile 0. This now fragile structure was used by native inhabitants, formerly called the Anasazi, but more recently labeled ancestral Puebloans. And its fragile nature makes clear the reason for the Park Service protecting it. Furnace Flats is a former native settlement located at mile 71.5 to 72.2 of the river, which is, quote, closed for the protection of a significant cultural resource, close quote. The excavations of the site yielded some extensive dwellings and, for example, this buried jar, which may have been used for cold storage. Considering how disrespectful some visitors treat these sites, digging for pots and moving or removing pottery shards, it strikes me as reasonable that the park has closed this area. A final native site is the Hopi Salt Mines, closed from the river to the top of the Tapeats layer and from mile 63 to 64.5. It's been used by the Hopi people for hundreds of years and likely by others before them. As part of older initiation traditions, it would have been a rite of passage for males to make a long journey to obtain salt from the mines and then bring it back for their female relatives. The park says the mines are closed, quote, for the protection of a significant cultural resource that is also composed of fragile natural materials, close quote. It sounds like a pretty cool place to visit, but seeing how visitors have treated such areas in the past, especially when unobserved, I can understand why the area is closed. The remainder of the closed areas are things like water and sewage treatment facilities, both for the safety of the visitors and the safety of the resource. For example, Roaring Springs has been closed on North Kaibab Trail for several years now. Considering it supplies the water for both the north and the south rim, and considering that there are crazy people who might want to poison the water supply, I have no issue with places like this being closed, although I regret I never made it up to Roaring Springs when it was still open. So there it is, a list of the major forbidden areas of Grand Canyon. I see no evidence of government conspiracies, hidden knowledge, or secret resources, but you're welcome to believe in them if you choose. A more complete list of the closed areas is found in the Superintendent's 2023 Compendium of Closures, which I will link in the comments below. With some restrictions and some requirements for permits, the majority of Grand Canyon National Park is open for you to explore, limited more by its rugged terrain and lack of water resources than its governmental closures. Thank you for watching.